right, everybody, let's get started. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody here. Hello, everybody online. Hi, Brian and Linda and Jean. Welcome to the Dharma Bum Temple, the Loving Kindness class for Wednesday evening. It's wonderful to be here with you again for another Wednesday of Loving Kindness. My name is Alex, if you haven't been here before, and I am going to be leading the class tonight. I don't think there's anyone here who's new to the Dharma Bum Temple. Anybody? You're new to the Dharma Bum Temple? Well, welcome.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you. How'd you hear about us?
From a friend.
Oh, from a friend. Oh, awesome. Awesome. I always ask. I always want to know. If there's anybody online who's brand new, hello, welcome. The format of this class is the same, pretty much keep the same format, right, as every other class. We're going to have this short introduction. We're going to have meditation on loving kindness, and I'm going to describe all of that to you if you're new and you kind of don't know exactly what's going on. And then afterwards, we have like a question and answer. Sometimes I have story time. Sometimes I need to do story time again. And then we'll be done by then. All right. So class is pretty much usually the same kind of format, week in and week out. I do appreciate that consistency. So what we're talking about when we say loving kindness, I'm sure you've heard that before. The Buddhist word or the Pali word, this is the language where it comes from, Pali, is called metta, M-E-T-T-A. And this word, is a very, very rich in meaning because it's an ancient word. It can mean so many things when translated into English 2,500 years later. It can mean unconditional friendliness, loving kindness, goodwill, inoffensiveness, harmony, amity. There's like a big, long list of words that it could mean. All of that encompasses this word metta. And it's simply really just a wish to be happy, a wish for ourselves to be happy, a wish for others to be happy, and also a wish for ourselves and others to do the things that cause happiness. So we want to benefit from the causes of happiness too. Now, the causes of happiness are things that we ourselves can do to be happy. And if you know the motto of the Dharma Bum Temple, you probably know what the causes of happiness are. So the motto of the Dharma Bum Temple is think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. And so that's what we're trying to do. Those are basically, there's more to it than that, but basically those are causes of happiness. We want our positive and well-intentioned, another word for that is skillful. We want to engage in skillful thoughts, skillful words, skillful deeds. Right? And those will lead to happiness. Right? All right. So what I would like to do is I would like to read the Buddha's words on loving kindness. And this is the Metta Sutra or the Metta Sutta. Sutta is just a teaching. And this is going to be brief, but I would like to read it. And these are the Buddha's own words, his own instructions on loving kindness. Right? He says, this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humbled and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. And I love reading that because it's just as relevant today as it was 2,500 years ago, and probably it's going to be just as relevant 2,500 years from now. The Buddha was a master psychologist and sociologist, and he really understood the human condition, right? Irrespective of religion or spiritual practice, he really understood the human condition and what it would take to escape from this, samsara, this cycle of birth and death, to free yourself from suffering. And this is one way to do it, this practice of loving kindness. So what we're going to do is when we do this practice of loving kindness, which I'm going to guide, we're first going to do it for a benefactor. And again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown you great love and great kindness. So you already have this feeling of loving kindness for them because you've already experienced it. So we're going to do loving kindness for them, either by just radiating loving kindness to them or by repeating phrases of loving kindness. And you can do either one. And then we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. So all we have to do is just receive all of their loving kindness. Right? Again, we already have that experience of loving kindness in our own heart, so we just have to call that to mind. And then we're going to do loving kindness for ourselves, and then we're going to do loving kindness for all beings in all directions. And if you have a like a group of people you'd like to do it for specifically, go for it. Go do that. And then, beforehand, like the first 5 minutes, we're just going to get connected to the breath. And the breath is really important in this kind of meditation too, because the breath always keeps us anchored to the present moment. So we always want to have about, 25% of our attention on the breath, keeping us anchored to the present moment, making sure that we're not wandering, lost in thought, or distracted or drowsy or any of those things. And so that's why we're going to spend the first 5 minutes with that. Any questions before we start? All right, let's go do it. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that position that's nice and comfortable for you, nice and sustainable, so you're not likely to move around too much. And when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment, because each Buddha has their own tree of enlightenment. It could be the mighty redwood or sequoia. It could be an oak tree. It could be a willow tree that's nice and flexible, blowing in the wind. Anything that you want. It's your tree. So what we would like to do for first few moments is really just get connected to the breath, anchoring ourselves to the present moment, because the breath is our anchor. The breath is our home, that place we can always come back to, whether we're sitting here in meditation or out experiencing our day, it's always with us. So at first, let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. At first, not forcing it, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural, and just concentrating on the breath at the base of the nostrils, feeling the air go in and out as you breathe. If you get lost, if you get distracted, that's okay. It's not a problem. We have this wonderful technique called labeling, so that when we get lost in thought, we can just say to ourselves, thinking, and come back to the breath. Just that act of saying thinking will snap the mind back to the present moment, even if it's just for a second. And so we train our mind by being ardent, by being alert, noticing when the mind gets lost in thought and bringing it back. Each and every time. Doesn't matter how many times your mind gets lost in thought or for how long. Each time, it's just thinking and back to the breath. So we'll do this for the next couple of moments. And so to begin our practice of loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill, harmony, concord, inoffensiveness, well-being, we're going to first think of a benefactor. And again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love and great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for, like mother, father, brother, sister, best friend, favorite teacher. Not a romantic partner, but someone else other than that, if we can. And you could either just radiate loving kindness to them, wishing them loving kindness, wishing they do the things that cause happiness. Or you can just repeat phrases of loving kindness for them. Phrases like, may you be happy. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. You can choose one or more of those phrases just to repeat over and over. Hopefully smiling if you can, because smiling helps a whole lot. We tend to be so dour in our spiritual practice, and that's not what we should be doing. It's so much better and easier if you smile. You can have one benefactor, you can have 20 benefactors. It's up to you. There's so much flexibility here to work with. So for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And now shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for our benefactor to now we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. So we already have the experience of our benefactor's love and kindness in our own heart. It's already there. So we just have to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. They've done it before. Why wouldn't they do it again? Wishing us happiness, wishing that we do the things that cause happiness. And your only job really is just to receive all of their love and kindness into your own heart. All of it. This is where sometimes it's helpful to put your hand over your heart, listening for any tension and any tightness, any part of your heart that says, no, I can't take all of this. If something like that happens, that's okay. Can you then just breathe into that tension, breathe in and breathe out, just giving it a little space to do whatever it's going to do. You don't have to force anything. And keep smiling. Keep letting all of that loving kindness into your heart from your benefactor. And we'll do this for the next few moments. Now, again, shifting our focus to probably what is the most important part of this meditation, and that is the ability to do this practice of loving kindness for yourself. Our goal is to make our heart a wellspring of loving kindness that is never ending and self-fulfilling. So can we begin just to first call to mind our own wish to be happy? And it's a wish that everyone has for themselves, because everyone just wants to be happy. We may go about it in the wrong way many times, but ultimately everyone just wants to be happy. So you can just repeat these phrases of loving kindness for yourself, just very gently, keeping your hand over your heart if you want. May I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. May I do the things that cause happiness. May my thoughts and words and deeds be ones that are positive and well-intentioned and lead to happiness. Again, very gently. No need to force anything, so we'll just do this for the next few moments. And finally, we can explore the limitless quality of the heart, because the heart has this potential. Every heart out there has this potential. The heart to include, or the ability to include everybody in your loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill, whatever translation you'd like to use. And so you can just wish loving kindness for all beings, wish that all beings do the things that cause happiness. If you have a specific group of people you'd like to do it for, you can do it. You can just do it for them. That's okay. Again, there's so much flexibility here. May all beings be happy. May all beings do the things that cause happiness. We'll do this for the next few moments to end our meditation. And just open your eyes when you're ready. Let's just take the next minute or two out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs, keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness about you. If you have a question, I'm going to ask for questions in a minute here. But for now, just keep that loving kindness about you while you kind of stretch and collect yourself. Whew, okay. Well, that was awesome. That's awesome for me. I hope that worked out well for you as well. You know, and like I say every time, I'm always really interested to know what your experience of meditation is. And the great thing about this question is that there are no wrong answers, because your experience is just your experience. It could be just whatever it is, and that's fine. And so you can, talk a little bit about something that was easy about this meditation that worked really well, something that was really difficult about this meditation that you maybe struggled with a little bit, something that you weren't expecting. It could be anything. Or any questions about anything about the instructions or anything like that. Be anything about just Buddhism in general. It doesn't matter. And there's, again, you keep on using this word flexibility. There's a lot of flexibility here. The same thing goes, online for the online folks. Whatever you want to ask is fine. So anybody want to share their maybe experience of meditation? Yes, sir.
It was new to me to the third part where to express that to oneself, and I immediately had the visualization of those solar flares that instead of just being ejected, actually those solar flares that come back to the sun in almost like a circle.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. I mean, it's so different for everybody how you want to do that. And that's what I like about this meditation, that, however it's going to work for you is fine. So like you said, you're imagining like these solar flares. So instead of these solar flares actually maybe escaping the Earth's, the sun's gravity and like going off into space, it actually will come back. It goes out and it comes back, to the sun. And yeah, absolutely. If that's something that, works for you, or just something that you thought of just kind of came to you,
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. I mean, so often, I think that so often many of us come from or grew up in or have lots of experience with, like a formal religion or spiritual practice that says it has to be this one way. And in Buddhism, we're saying, no, I mean, the mind can conceptualize these things that we're trying to explain to you in a number of ways. And so that's why you'll find there's just not a lot of dogma in Buddhism. Like, this is actually it. This is the only way. This is the only way you should relate to this thing. No, it's metaphor, and it is simile, and it is just so much flexibility on what you can do to understand, what you can do to kind of get what we're kind of trying to tell you. I mean, you mentioned, that you had this kind of imagery that came to you, and probably no one else did, but that's fine. Somebody may have thought of something completely different that's going to work for them, and that's fine. So we can work. We can work with that, and you can work with that. And here in Buddhism, we allow you to work with that. That's okay. I have something here online that I would like to read from Sylvia. What happens when you send love and kindness to someone specific? You sense that the person has a heavy, dense energy. So our job isn't to change another person. It's just work with what you see. You don't know whether I don't really know what heavy, dense energy is. That could be a lot of your own feelings towards them. So we just want to make sure that you're not projecting that onto them. Maybe you know that they're going through a difficult time. Maybe that's why you think of that. So we want to try not to do that as much as possible. Just wish them loving kindness. Don't expect anything in return. Doesn't matter what you think of them. If you suspect something like that, doesn't matter. Just wish them loving kindness. This practice is for you, for your heart, for your awakening. So we're trying not to externalize that. We're trying to internalize that as much as humanly possible. And this kind of brings me to a little bit of something that I mention a lot, but probably haven't mentioned it in a bit. So I kind of like to mention it again. Using my own experience, I was so happy when I came to Buddhism. It was such an accident, seemingly. Such an accident. I'm surprised that I never heard of Buddhism, or that word never meant anything to me. Maybe I heard of it. I think I probably heard of the Buddha, but it didn't mean anything to me. Anything Eastern seemed so foreign and strange and weird, just because I didn't know. And that was my kind of projection onto it. Because I didn't know, it seemed foreign, it was weird, and it was, wrong, or, whatever I felt. But I was at the point where I was accepting new information, and I found Buddhism, and I went to this one place. This back in 2000, and the very beginning of 2007, right when the Dharma Temple opened. I didn't find the Dharma Temple till later, but I went to this other place, and it was fine, I guess, but it seemed a little odd to me. I mean, I liked the Buddhism part. Maybe I didn't like that particular place as much. So I went looking elsewhere for Buddhism, and I found the temple, like a couple months after I started, and I've been here ever since. But one of the things that I did, that I think a lot of us do, is that I took, my spiritual practice like really, really seriously. I had a very serious attitude about it. And so I would be in meditation, and I have that look on my face like I'm trying to concentrate really hard, and there was kind of no joy in it. And I had a teacher at the time who didn't believe in joy, who was very suspect of joy, which was unfortunate. But that's how he felt. And so I took this really, really seriously. And so whenever anything happened, like anytime I did anything like really wrong, I felt really, really bad, which is my old conditioning coming back. Like I'm going to go to hell and I'm wrong and I'm bad and all those different types of things. And I don't deserve love, all of that kind of stuff. But one thing in Buddhism that I found, because there's so much flexibility, because no one is telling me what to think and how to think and all those different types of things. We're just giving you practices and saying, hey, test this out for yourself. And this should help, but you test this out for yourself. That kind of flexibility allowed me to not take myself so seriously, to look into things like gratitude and joy and happiness and, the end of suffering and what does that really mean and how can I fix this? And that kind of flexibility allowed me to not take myself so seriously, because I think it's normal. When we come to spiritual practice so often, we come because we're suffering in some way. We're sad. We're looking for something because we're hurting. We've been traumatized. I come from a whole generation of traumatized people. And so we find something and, we don't look for the joy in it. And I think a lot of kind of what we're trying to do here is say, hey, there's a lot of flexibility here in this meditation practice. If you want to imagine, if what came to your mind, like these solar flares are coming back, perfect. That is okay, and work with that. In spiritual practice, you're going to screw up like a lot. So many times. I look back at some of the things I've said and like, oh, Lord, why did I think that? Why did I say that? And it was just my old conditioning saying that. Having the wisdom to really understand that, it's just that. I don't have to personalize that. I don't have to personalize a mistake, which means like I'm bad. I may have made a mistake, but that doesn't make me bad. I don't have to identify with that and say that is who I am. And in Buddhism, there's the three poisons, or I think it's the three poisons. It's impermanence, not self, and suffering, right? And change is really, really difficult, but change is a normal part of life. So it's not, change doesn't cause suffering. It's our identification with change that causes all this suffering. Our identification with the body that causes suffering. Our identification with suffering as taking it or making it personal. So we're trying as best as we can not to make everything so personal, take everything so personally. That's a little pet peeve of mine. I don't know why grammar is my pet peeve sometimes, but it is. It's personally. It's an adverb. It's my soapbox for tonight. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I appreciate your suggestion of smiling.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I felt myself just relax more.
Yeah.
And so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. And it does help. Part of it is, why shouldn't we smile? It puts our mind in a better mood. It's like, even if we're not happy, you can still smile. And it's a wonderful tool it's kind of like, acting as if you're training the mind to be happy. And that's what Buddhism is a mind training. And so if you smile, it doesn't matter, you don't actually have to be happy. And it's not like a fake kind of thing, but you can act as if. Sometimes, the world's got you down, and you're sitting in meditation, you have that scowl on your face. And, sometimes if you make the effort to smile, it kind of puts that mind in a better mood. And it makes you just not so dour and upset and identify so much of what's making you upset. And this acting, it's a really good tool. We have this in recovery, in the recovery circles a lot. They say, like, act as if you're happy. And we're not really trying to lie to ourselves. We're just trying to train our mind to not identify so much with all this kind of negativity that, as addicts and alcoholics and people in with addiction, that we often get caught up in. So it's a wonderful tool there, and it's a wonderful tool here. And it takes some time because it doesn't always feel natural. When I first started, I just kind of felt like I felt like a phony. When somebody told me to smile, I felt like a phony, but I'm not happy. Why should I smile? My spiritual practice shouldn't be that. Part of it was like my conditioning, and part of it was what this teacher was telling me. Who turned out to be a predator, but that's okay. That's another story. Smile, it's okay. Anyone else?
I came in today very, having driven around looking for parking. Very, I understand the world. And I just spoken with someone that did make me angry. So when we had to use the Benefactor, the only thing I could come up with was this dog that I have been working with as a rescue dog. And
that's okay,
So he was my Benefactor, and he was having some surgery today, and I'm waiting to hear about what's going on with him. He's one of these dogs that was badly abused and had some issues. So, but it's surprisingly, I feel much better.
Good.
This meditation.
Isn't that fantastic?
I'm not as full of the angst that I was before.
And animals can bring us so much joy. So much joy. I mean, just take a look at COVID, like when all these lockdowns first started happening back in March of 2020. What did everybody do? Go get an animal. Because they wanted something to love. Because they know it brings them joy and companionship, and they wanted some companionship. The shelters, so many of the shelters were empty for a while because everyone adopted all the animals, And so if you have a dog as your benefactor, yeah, absolutely. And if you want to imagine the dog, like the other part, like when your benefactor is doing the practice for you, if you want to imagine the dog look in your face and just bringing you joy, sure. Yeah, so if that's going to open you up, absolutely. Do that. And look, it worked. It worked. And you can park in the parking lot of the bookstore if you have trouble parking. This is for the future. So great. Thank you for telling me that. That's wonderful. It's a wonderful story. Anyone else? We have like a minute left. Well, thank you, everybody. It was wonderful to have you. So what we do now at the end of every class is we have our announcements. So our host would come up and read the announcements.
Good evening, everybody. I am tonight's host. I'm Cliff. We opened the Dharma Fund Temple 15 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice with others. Just about every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone battling addiction, drugs, alcohol, or anything else for that matter. A family sangha for parents, kids, toddlers, and teens, which currently meets once a month. And we also offer a half-day silent retreat the first Saturday of the month with RSVP required for that. Everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We also have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back whenever you're done with it. Please straighten your seats or cushions before you head out, and if a few people could stay to close and latch the windows, that would be helpful. Thank you for being here, and we wish you well and hope to see you all again.
Awesome. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this practice and this meditation, this discussion be received by all beings. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, guys.